Hey there, it's Chris Westfall, and welcome to this LinkedIn Live presentation. You know, I woke up today and I saw something trending that was absolutely fascinating to me, and I thought about this new trend and how it might be impacting you. And so I created a post today on Forbes, and here's the image of it. And the trend that's happening is that people are launching more businesses than ever before. It's an entrepreneur's economy. And in fact, compared to a year ago, there are 40% more new business applications being submitted right now. What this means is that people are turning to their own resourcefulness as resource for revenues. In other words, people are launching businesses in record numbers. And I was curious. I was wondering, why are people launching businesses like this? And what can be done if you are interested in launching a business? Because, you know, according to reports, the economy has lost almost 11 million jobs, and many of those are jobs that are not coming back from businesses or sectors that have been completely transformed, even wiped out by the pandemic. So if you're looking for a way to go beyond the stimulus package, maybe what could stimulate your own personal economy is to be a part of launching a new business. But before you quit your day job and jump into the entrepreneurship pile, there are some questions that you have to ask yourself. In other words, you have to ask yourself these questions if you want to move forward knowing that you've left no stone unturned. In other words, that if you are in a corporate role right now and you're interested in moving into entrepreneurship, you have to ask yourself some questions, I think, that can be really, really useful. And while I don't claim to be anyone's guru or to say that I have a map for your career or for your life, I will share with you that I have a pretty good compass, pretty good GPS that can help point you in a new direction if you're open to that perspective. And maybe right now you're trying to answer this question, the one that's right here at the top of this little chart that you see here. And that question is, should I stay or should I go? Maybe you're frustrated with your boss and your situation, and maybe that's because of your boss's personality and also the patterns, you know, the patterns that you've seen established at work. And you may feel that this and this aren't going to change. But before you walk out the door and point your career in the direction of entrepreneurship, there are some things that need to be addressed so that you can make your next move from a more informed position, from a place that says, I know I did everything that I could. And when you do everything that you can, sometimes you discover some things that you've missed. And those things, which I've got here on this little chart, are thing one and thing two. So thing one and thing two can point you, just like that old Dr. Seuss book, towards some new options and perhaps even some, dare I say it, fun in your job function. Here's where you have to look if you feel like there's something that's missing. Let's take a look at thing number one. Thing number one is negotiation. Negotiation. People and patterns are the number one reason that people leave companies. You know as well as I do that people leave people. They don't leave organizations. And many times what's really frustrating is the supervisor that you're working with right now. Do you feel that? Do you feel that there's a pattern of behavior, there's a personality and a personality conflict that you can't seem to overcome? Well, the first thing that you have to do, thing number one, is to consider negotiation. Beyond people issues, and I mentioned this in the Forbes article. I'll put it back up there again. I mentioned this in the Forbes article, that beyond people issues, beyond personality and patterns, there are two things that are frustrating to employees. And I'm going to share with you these two things and see if you see it, see if what I'm sharing is your own experience. But the two things that people, and if it is, by the way, go ahead and hit me in the comments down there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. I'm currently doing this using a new platform, so I'm not able to see any comments or chat right now. So drop those comments down below and I will be checking them out. And I'll probably be dropping some links in there because I want to share some new information with you as well, some resources, and I'll get to that in just a second. But I digress. Back to the two challenges that people feel beyond personality and patterns. The two challenges are time and terms. In other words, the time that's required to do your job, the time that you're asked to be online. How do I know that time is an issue? Because statistics say that for the remote workforce, remote workers are working on average over an hour or more per day. That's based on a joint study done by Harvard and NYU. The source is not that important. The results show that people are working longer hours. And not only are they working longer hours, but especially if you're working remotely, if you're working from home, you're juggling relationships, Zoom fatigue, homeschool. There's a myriad of issues that people are coming up against. In fact, most of those issues are written about in this book. It's called Working from Home, obviously. Yeah, I didn't even have to read it. I didn't have to look. It's called Working from Home, and it's by my friend Karen Manja. And I wanted to let you know that if you hit me up with a comment and you say that you're working from home down here in the comments down below, what I'll do is I will, you have to be in the U.S. to qualify for this special offer, but I will send you an autographed copy of Working from Home, autographed by Karen Manja. This book is helping a lot of people, and it's already reached bestseller status. It's climbing the charts on Amazon. It's got a ton of 5-star reviews. And if you'll drop a cool comment down below and say that you're interested, I'll send you a copy of the book. And I think I'm just going to send out one, but it depends on how many comments are down there below, and quite frankly, how smart they are. So give me your most clever comment, and you can DM me your address. Please don't leave your address in the comments, but we can connect. You can send me your address. It has to be in the U.S., and I will send you a book. But think about the time and terms that you're dealing with your employer, and could you negotiate? Could you negotiate something that could help you? For example, I was talking with a good friend of mine. He's an executive at a major bank. And he said to me, he goes, I have been given 6 times more work during this pandemic than before it. And he's getting crushed. It's crushing his productivity. It's crushing his soul. He's not happy about it. I can understand why. But as we were talking, I had to wonder to myself, is there any way that you could look into thing number one? Is there any way that you could get some negotiation? Could you say, can I get some help? Can you talk to your boss to talk about the time that's involved? And does your boss know what it is that you're doing? Now, it's not a wise career strategy to go to your boss and say, I'm working so hard and you've given me so much, because that's called, wait for it, a complaint. Yeah, that's a problem with no solution. And your boss might say to you, hey, listen, what do you propose? What's your answer for this? Because your boss may be thinking the answer is you need to be more efficient with your time. You need better time management skills. That's a real possibility. But what if it's not a matter of time management skills? What if it's a matter of distribution? What if it's a matter of delegation? Is there some way that you could ask for help to gain some assistance in some way? Could you distribute your work to others? Would your boss allow you to do that? Would your boss help you to do that? That could be a negotiation that could be very useful. Before you walk out the door, before you take your chances in this economy, even stepping into the entrepreneur's economy, you want to do that, making sure that you've left no thing uncovered. And that's why we got to take a look at thing number 2. And thing number 2 is really the greatest tool that you can access in business and in your career, whether you want to launch your own business or you're running a business right now, or you just want to do better at the business of you and you're looking for your next opportunity. The key to your success right there goes hand in hand with negotiation. It's communication. If you ask me, what's the number one challenge in business today? Pretty simple, right? There it is. There it is, communication. You see, the way that you communicate is the key to your success. In fact, the stories that you tell will teach people how to treat you, how to pay you, how to respond to your ideas. And if you're thinking about entrepreneurship, communication is vital. You know, a lot of the entrepreneurs that I work with, they're interested in launching businesses. And I've been fortunate. I've helped launch, I think the number's like over 6 businesses. I'm not exactly sure of the precise count, but I've been a part of launching over 6 businesses, raising over $100 million in capital and counting for my clients, which I know that's not all the money in the world, but I'm really honored to be able to help entrepreneurs to launch their own businesses. And I'm seeing some comments in here. Hey, Rick was the first one to hit me, and he says, I want a copy. Rick, you're going to have to DM me. You shoot me your address. And if it's a U.S. address, guess what? I'm holding it, but it's yours. You got it? Okay, it's coming to you. Thank you, Rick. Thanks for jumping in there. So back to launching various businesses. I mean, I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs over the years to help bring new ideas to life. And there's one thing that's not quarantined, and that's innovation. But before you dive into the pool of entrepreneurship, you want to make sure that you're innovative about the opportunities, relationships, and partnerships that you have right in front of you. What that means is that if you are gainfully employed right now, first of all, let me say congratulations. You're one of the lucky ones. There are a lot of folks out there who continue to apply for unemployment. They're wondering about the stimulus package, and so am I. I mean, it's on again, it's off again. They're renegotiating. It's going to be more. It's going to be less. What's it going to be? I don't know. But in the midst of this uncertainty, people are looking for ways to grab what psychologists call an internal locus of control. Have you heard this phrase before? An internal locus of control. I'm a simple guy, I'm not a psychologist. I say keeping your hands on the wheel. An internal locus of control feels like you're in the driver's seat, that you have some control over the amount of influence, I guess you could say, that you have over your life. So if you're facing this question, if you're wondering, is it time to move on? Is your relationship with your boss more than you can stand? Well, you've got to ask yourself some important questions, and I want to share those questions with you right now. They're questions related to what I call the entrepreneurship test. I mean, how do you find out if you're an entrepreneur? And if you want to try something, I'll share some ideas with you. And then I want to talk with you about something that I've discovered, a Stanford psychologist who has some amazing guidance and a great way to actually relieve stress. And you may say, well, how does relieving stress relate to my career? Well, the answer is pretty simple. If you're under stress, are you at your best? I know I'm not. If you're in a career where your boss has a gun to your head, is that a way for you to be at your best and at peak performance? So looking in the direction of peak performance, take the entrepreneurship test. Are you ready? I'm just going to lay it out, and you can answer really, really simply with the ideas that show up for you. And here's the entrepreneurship test. If I gave you $100, okay? Let's put it on the board. I'm going to give you $100. That looks like 106, doesn't it? If I could write numbers, I'd be dangerous. $100. And the entrepreneurship test says, what would you do to double your money? What would you do to take that and take one Benjamin and turn it into $200? And by the way, if you're watching this in a country where the currency is different and you're thinking in euros or whatever your currency might be, how would you double your money? A couple of rules in the entrepreneurship test. The first one is that you can't beg or borrow for money, right? You can't call your mom and ask her to send you $100 and you say, I win. You can't do that. And the other thing that you have to do during the entrepreneurship test, wait for it, you got to keep your pants on. Yeah, that's right. In other words, nothing criminal, nothing that would be considered compromising in order to make that extra money. When you take the entrepreneurship test, it's a simple one. It's just about doubling your money. What shows up for you? How can you tap into that enterprise or entrepreneurial spirit? One of the things that has been really useful for me in working with my entrepreneurial, excuse me, folks, I'm sorry. English is my 9th language. I'm doing the best that I can. As you think about how how you might approach entrepreneurship, I want to share with you a simple strategy that's made a real difference for my clients. As I go here to camera number 2, and I'm now on camera number 2. It's still me. Don't let it freak you out. But here's what I wanted to point out. I wanted to point to the Yahoo Strategy. I'm not sure which camera to look at. Where's the camera? Oh, there you are. Hello, I'm back. The Yahoo Strategy. But think about it. What is the Yahoo Strategy? And I don't mean Yahoo, the search engine. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how you always have, let's put it in a different color. Sorry that this thing is a little rickety here. Always have other options. If you ask me what business coaching is all about and the nature of my work, I would explain it to you in 2 words: other options. The thing that I give to my clients as best I can is a fresh perspective. Because if you want to see things differently, the first thing you need is a new perspective. Yeah, the world is still the world, but the way that you look at it influences and actually creates your experience. And if you want to change your experience, if you're looking to make a transition, if you're looking to launch your own business, or maybe you're just looking to negotiate a little bit smarter with your boss so that you are able to maintain your sanity and your productivity, well, where does that start? You see, that's what the coaching conversation really asks, I think, is to ask the big questions. Like, where does innovation come from? And do you always have other options? I mean, if you think about it, if you really think about it, even in this crazy economy, this pandemic-influenced economy that we're all facing, opportunities are all around us. Now, that's not just motivational mumbo-jumbo. That's true. There are organizations that are thriving right now, and I mentioned a few of them in the Forbes article that I posted. So, and if you're curious, you can check that out. I'll drop a link to the Forbes article down below so that you can see it in the comments. But in the Forbes article, I mention organizations that are growing, and the way that they're growing is based on the ingenuity of entrepreneurs. People who are starting and running small businesses are the fuel behind gigantic corporations like Amazon and other organizations like Etsy and Fiverr, for that matter. So which of these organizations might be a fit for you? And if you're looking to make a change and you want to know what those other options are, one of the things that I mentioned in the article is franchising. Opening a franchise. Now, you may say, hey, I'm not in a position to invest in a franchise. I'm not at a place where I have a pile of cash that I could plow into a business. But if you are, if you're fortunate enough to be in a situation where you have some options at your disposal, franchising might be one of those options. And I'll tell you why. Because when you buy into a franchise, you buy into a process. You don't have to figure things out on your own. It's a proven process. And of course, there's a lot of evaluation that goes into franchise. I understand that. But from a very high level, what would it mean to you to buy into a proven process? Then again, if you're ready to take the entrepreneurship test, maybe you're interested in creating your own process. Maybe you want to know if you've got what it takes. And so if you're interested in this and what these options are, sometimes it really helps to have someone who's riding shotgun with you, somebody who's there to help you to explore those options, whether those are options related to your career or launching a new one. You know, there's an important phrase that I like to share with my clients, and this is not motivational. This is true, but only 100% of the time. Here it is. You don't have to go it alone. You think about that for a second. You don't have to go it alone. It may feel that way in your current career. It may feel that way because maybe you've lost your job. Hey, listen, I've been there. I know how it feels, and it doesn't feel good. But here's the thing. You always have other options, and you don't have to go it alone. At least that's the message from Kelly McGonigal. Kelly McGonigal is a Stanford psychologist and a researcher, and this is actually an image from her TED Talk, which, yes, I absolutely will put it in the comments down below. But Kelly McGonigal is an amazing person. She wrote a book called The Upside of Stress. The Upside of Stress. And in this book, she introduces, well, she doesn't, introduces is the wrong way to say it. She introduced me to what I'm calling a stress-free experiment. It's a way for people to step outside of stress, and the experiment only takes 10 minutes. So listen, I don't know if you're up for it. I don't know if you're interested in a little to-do, but if you are, the science behind this experiment shows that people who went through the exercise that I'm about to outline for you right now showed measurable improvements in performance, in empathy, in their ability to understand that they didn't have to go it alone. In fact, they even showed improvements in their mental and physical health months and even years after doing this single exercise just one single time. Now, when I read about this exercise in her book, I was stunned. I was like, what is this thing that in 10 minutes can unlock the door to greater productivity, and it also helps to combat feelings of isolation. Can you relate to that? Are you working from home? Are you feeling the need for greater connection during times of isolation? I think I might have just told the story of our times. Obviously, as you can see, I'm working from home and I'm doing my best to stay safe, and I hope you are too. But the stress-free experiment points in the direction of something that can make a real difference. It made a difference for me. So if you're up for it, here are those details. Stanford researchers asked a group of stressed out college students to go home over winter break. This is a few years ago. To go home over winter break and keep a journal. Keep a journal over winter break. And for a certain group of Stanford students, for a certain select group, they gave them a specific prompt to write on. They asked them to write about their values. That's right, their values. And not just what their values are, but how their values are showing up in everyday life. So if you're interested in creating this exercise, which I call the stress-free experiment, I think McGonigal calls it, I think it's the self-alignment exercise. I might be getting that wrong, but and if I am, I apologize, and I'm sure the comments will fill up with my mistakes. But if you're interested, take a moment to sit down and write down your values. What are the things that you value most? Those values might point you in the direction of entrepreneurship. Those values might point you in the direction of a negotiation with your boss or with yourself or with your spouse, your partner, your significant other that could lead you in a new direction. What are those values? And then take the next step. Write for 10 minutes. Set a timer. Write for 10 minutes. You can do it. I mean, you can do it the way that I do it, longhand, pen and paper, or you can open up a Google Doc or a Word document. But your topic is this: how do you see your values reflected in everyday life? Now, it's easy to take this assignment and turn it into, here's how I see my values not being reflected. Here's how I'm frustrated because my values aren't being reflected. That's not the assignment. Pardon me. The assignment is, how do you see your values reflected in everyday life? And what are those values that matter most to you? And are you living those values? You see, this is an assignment about alignment. And when we see alignment with our values, it's easy to access the thing that everyone needs right now during this pandemic: adaptation. Adaptation, the ability to adapt in new ways to what's going on in your life, and do it from a place that is based on your values. What are those values? You'll see them in evidence in your life. For me, what shows up at the very top, here are two things that I value: communication and service. And how do I see that evidence? How do I see those values? How do I see the value of communication? And how do I see the value of service in my everyday activity? Well, guess what I'm doing right now? That's right, trying my best to communicate, to share new ideas. And I'll tell you why I'm sharing those new ideas. It's because I want to live out my values. And I live those values through service. That's what my business is based on. It's a simple business that's based on service. And in fact, when I transitioned from the corporate world into entrepreneurship, I call myself a reluctant entrepreneur. I used to say that about myself. I was reluctant to become an entrepreneur. Why? Because I've been a corporate guy for so many years. Fortune 100 companies. I worked for family-owned businesses, high-growth businesses. I worked in a variety of different roles, marketing, sales, leadership, etc. And changing to entrepreneurship was a mindset shift. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. But because it wasn't easy for me, I made a choice to turn my experience into something of value for others. I made it my mission to make sure that others don't have to struggle with the things that I've had to wrestle with. And from that place, I've expanded my business, my practice, my coaching, my consulting to address a multitude of issues across a broad array of industries. I've done a bunch of work with Texas A&M University over the years, and I see some folks in the chat that are hitting me up that we've worked together at Texas A&M, and I love Aggieland in every possible way. But over the last year, I worked with 3 different schools within the Texas A&M University system. I worked with the College of Veterinary Medicine. I work with folks in the business school. I work with folks in the engineering school. I even did a campus-wide event talking about career management issues, and that was broadcast not only to the main Texas A&M campus in College Station, but to every campus all across the state. So for me, I am focused on service as my business model, and the way that I serve is to share insights in whatever way that I can. Because look, I don't claim to have anyone else's answers. I don't have the roadmap to success, but I do have a compass, and I have a willingness to look, and I'm pretty good at helping people to access their own internal GPS. And that access isn't tied to a market sector or a career path. It's tied to principles of the way things work, the principles that guide our humanity, that guide our empathy, that guide us towards the kind of communication that creates new results. Because when you change the conversation, you can change your results. That's true, but only 100% of the time. What's the change that you want to create? How could you negotiate? How could you communicate in a powerful way? And what service could you provide that people would pay you for? When you look in that direction, you might be seeing your side hustle. You might be seeing your next business venture. You might be seeing your way out of a bad situation where patterns and personality aren't going to change. And that's why you have to make that change. Everyone right now is focused on transformation in some form or fashion. Even folks that are consistently looking at their operations, they want to transform today's operations so that tomorrow is 1% better. Am I right? And that change, that transformation, that is the focus of growth. If you're interested in focusing on growth, I want to encourage you to take a look at some of the links down below so that you can access the things that I mentioned. You can take a look at links to this book so that you can check out what Karen has created around working from home. And I also want to share with you information about her next book, which is called Listen Up. And look, all I have of it is this little picture because it's not come out yet. It's coming out on October 20th. So it'll be released. And Listen Up is a story for our times. It's all about how to tune into customers and turn down the noise. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of noise out there. Am I right? How do you know who to listen to? How do you know what voice matters most? In my coaching work, I help people to tap into their own voice so that they can follow their own inner guidance. And in Listen Up, what Karen shows is how to tap into the business conversation that matters most. That's a conversation with the customer. And if you're involved in sales, customer support, customer success, customer service, you got to take a look at this book. Working from Home was released just a couple of months ago. And now Karen is coming out with a new book. Who does that? 2 books within, I don't know, what is it, 75 days? I'm trying to think I don't remember what the launch date of Working from Home is, but it's amazing what she has created, not only because it points to how prolific she is, but it points to the kind of insights that she wants to share. And in that same spirit, I want to share these insights with you. And I hope that this has been valuable for you to go on a little journey today of me sharing some ideas. And here's hoping that if you take the entrepreneurship test that you pass, if you look into the stress-free experiment, that it provides you with some relief and some insight into who you are and into how to bring your values to life. And if you're looking for ways to expand on this conversation for yourself, for your career, for the people that you care about, don't hesitate to reach out to me. My business is service. And as I like to say, your success is my business. So if you're wondering what it might feel like to have someone look with you in the direction of your success, you can hit me here on LinkedIn. You can visit my website at westfallonline.com. There's a contact button there on the website, and you can hit that contact button and set up a time to talk, a time to access the #1 tool in business. That's a conversation. Absolutely. A conversation that concentrates on your success. If that's of interest to you, don't hesitate to reach out to me and let me know in the comments what you think of this video, as well as what you hope I'll talk about in the future, because I'm always on the lookout for great ideas for Forbes posts and for ideas that could influence videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching today. Thank you for going on this journey and listening to me rant and share. And I hope that our time together was valuable. Here's wishing you much success in your life and your career. All the best.